Welcome to E360 TV, the live streaming and on-demand destination for influential voices and enlightened audiences. We offer trending, grassroots, and purpose-driven content across a diverse range of interests. E360 TV is more than just watching programs. We offer the ability to interact with live shows connecting audiences to real, authentic influencers and storytellers while streaming to millions of devices. Real experiences. Raw conversations. One destination.
Hello, hello, hello. I have a question for you. Have you ever felt completely lost? You know, seeking purposeful direction that could and should propel your mission within your divine journey to that next level, but still it hasn't happened. Well, my name is Lauren Michaels Harris, and I'm the founder of P3, the Journey Series. People come to me because they're wounded. Many are scared. And even there are those who are bruised simply because they feel that they are increasingly, for whatever reason, losing their ability to dream. Now, this P3 program is not for a person who's just looking to start a business, no, but rather for those of you out there who have been on your journey and you've been navigating within your divine purpose, but you still desire to elevate to that level that you have not reached yet. If this is appealing, if this describes you, then I want to have a chat with you. I want to hear your story. So use the link below to get registered for your free seat at P3, the Journey Series. And let's get started. One story.
Don't see
See, that's what I'm talking about. Right there. That kind of stuff. Thank you, Joe. I was saying, what do you do when you feel like your business is running you and you're not running your business? It has been one humdinger of a couple weeks for this guy. And I'm sure some of you can relate as well. It doesn't matter how good you are with the systems and this, that, and the other. If this isn't matching this and that isn't matching this and this isn't matching all of this and so on and so forth, it can be a bit overwhelming. Yes? Okay, we're going to talk about some of that today. I know for a fact I'm dealing with it. Seriously. How many times, for those of you who are solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, small business owners, have you gotten to that point where you say, oh, Lord, am I going to have to shut this down? Am I going to have to go and get a regular job, a 9 to 5? Sound familiar? Right. It can be daunting at minimum. It can be. It can be very, 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 very overwhelming. So we're going to talk with our guest today, Joe Krueger, about some of the things that he knows that we can do to help alleviate some of that stress, some of that pressure. So that's what we're going to get into this morning. I just want to, let me check something else real quick. Okay, we're doing well over there. We're doing well. So anyway, let me see. Do we have any announcements? Let me get there. My head is all over the place. We lost my husband's mom a week before last and went through all that and still trying to get our heads back on straight. Hold on. So I'm looking for something. I want to talk about, if you're in the Charlotte, North Carolina area, I'd love to say hello to you. Next week, I'll be there presenting in Charlotte for the Mecklenburg County Department of Social Services. I think it's right around 700 social workers and people that work within the Department of Social Services. So if you're in or around that area, I'd love to say hi, maybe catch a cup of coffee. We're also going to be doing, I speak on Friday, the 25th, but on Saturday, the 26th, we're going to have a roundtable discussion. A couple of my coaching clients are in the area, and we're all coming together. We're going to broadcast it live on all of my platforms, and we're going to be, let me see, where is it? I have so much stuff. Oh, here's today's breakfast. Yes, here it is. No, that is not it. I have so much stuff. Oh, how many people feel like they are just, if you could see this desk. Okay, I'm not even going to try to find it. I am not even, wait, is this it? Lord have mercy, stuff everywhere. This is what I'm talking about. Anyway, we're doing, it's a trauma thing. We're going to talk about trauma and all of that. And I'll get that to you before we get out of here. But let's get Joe in here because definitely, you see, I could use him. Joe has a thing, Joe Krueger. He goes, where is your business on the 5 steps to freedom? Underground, buried. I can answer that. And another question. And what should you do right now to move your business toward the freedom step? I don't know, but I want to. Okay, there you go. Joe is the founder of Inspira Consultancy, and he helps people. He's transforming potential into performance. He is a 20-year plus C-suite veteran, and he's going to talk to us about how he helps to build tomorrow's market leaders today. So he's never been here before, and so that means we're going to pull out the red carpet. That means put some hearts on the screen, won't you please? We're welcoming him in. Spread this good news, you guys. Share this broadcast out with at least one person. 202. We want to hit way more than that today, and I know we can. So phone a friend. Get him in here. Here he comes down the hallway. We're about to get started. Joe Krueger on his way in right now. Joe, we need help.
Hey, good morning, Lauren. Thanks for having me. I'm hoping help people here today, and we can talk about that. And some of these challenges and issues out there that everybody's facing.
I mean, Joe, it's not easy.
No,
I'm not kidding you. I'm not kidding you. I'm going to be completely transparent. I shaved off yesterday one of the the people that we work with. This one was one of the companies that I work with my messaging, SMS messaging, sending things to people's phones and stuff, and just couldn't get it to fit right. They had some issues. The reminders that they were sending people they never transformed. The times didn't convert when we went to daily. So people were missing their appointments with me. I was missing appointments with them. My membership community, because we weren't lining up for the appointments, I had to do refunds to people, and it just started looking like, what the hell is going on? And instantly it threw everything off. And so I had to go in, I had to stop what I was doing, all these different things. And that just sounds like one of the things that so many business owners deal with every single day. So tell everybody what you do. I'm going to dip out, let you kind of like fill in between the lines, Joe, if you could, about what it is you do and what Inspira Consultancy does and how you can possibly pour into us today with some tips on how we might be able to keep our heads above water and not feel like we're drowning within our own business. So I'm going to step out for about a minute and I'll come back in. Take it away. What's on your mind today?
All right. Thanks, Lauren, and appreciate time here. So I work with companies that want to streamline and scale successfully in less than 18 months. And by aligning people, processes, and strategies, I help leaders reclaim their time, optimize operations, and really ignite a culture of accountability and performance. So the end result is that the business is going to run with clarity, momentum. You're going to have measurable growth. And what it does is it frees up the owners to lead more boldly and really live fully and experience that that financial freedom that we all start businesses for. Well, the reason we're starting those businesses. So I work with leaders. We do an assessment on the business, the operation, diagnose some of the root causes of the issues and challenges and problems. And what we do is we put together a plan of corrective actions, put together an action plan, and it could be any number of areas within a company. In good times, I mean, there's some challenges right now with some of the volatility and the uncertainty, but even in good times, there's challenges. If you want to scale your business, you want to add more opportunities, maybe there's new strategies. So even in good times, when I sat in the seat leading enterprises, we were profitable, we were making money. There was things we were doing well, but we really looked at how could we improve, how could we do more, how could we open up new markets. So even in good times, you want to use that same mindset.
That's about the fourth time you said even in good times, and I'm sure you weren't talking about JJ Walker. Remember that good times? Why? So let's talk about that. When you say even in good times, meaning currently, where are we, Joe? Times of uncertainty.
Right.
What does that exactly mean? Times of uncertainty. We know, well, I can point to one, the pandemic, we didn't know. Does it mean when you don't know what's happening from day to day, moment to moment?
Well, the uncertainty right now, where a lot of the anxiety is coming right now, is that there's some questions on what's going to be the outcome with some of the initiatives and some of the the actions that are being implemented by our leaders, in the government. So
Mhm.
there is a direct impact, when it comes to this whole issue of tariffs. What is that going to do to supply chains for manufacturing companies? What is it going to do supply chains for retailers? There's an impact, from a cost standpoint. And
Yes.
so there's this uncertainty of what does that mean? What's going to happen? How is that going to impact my business? Um, Other questions as to the economy. There's a lot of dialogue and conversation going on about potential recessions because of the impact. So in a recessionary environment, then what do I do to manage my business's cash flow? You start pulling back on some of those capital investments, perhaps, or investments in growth initiatives.
Mm-hmm.
You say, okay, we need to tighten the belt, hunker down, as they say, and
Yeah.
manage our expenses, because you need to come out of here still in business. And you mentioned, like, what do you do? Sometimes you're stuck and you go, am I going to shut this thing down, or what's the outcome? And so
Mm-hmm.
you have to
Mm-hmm.
have you have to have actions. You have to diagnose what the root cause is. You got a sick patient, in other words. And so what is that diagnosis? What's causing that? So right now, this uncertainty, um, and all of us are experiencing that, is causing indecision. You know,
Yes. Yes.
yeah,
Yes. Yes. Second guessing, indecision.
right.
And here's what I'm finding so incredibly daunting. I'm going to use that one.
Hmm.
Um, and I'm using my own brand, my own company, uh, as an example because it's legitimate, and I'm speaking out of from a real time standpoint. I mean, I woke up, I went to sleep last night early because I couldn't focus when we were all sitting around watching American Idol. I had to excuse myself because in my mind I'm like, what am I going to do about this? It hits me in the pit of my stomach. When I woke up this morning, my eyes went just like this, and it was right there waiting for me. Like I said, I told you guys yesterday, I had to trim some fat, starting from the outside, moving in. This morning, I spoke to another branch of one of the outsources that I use and said, I think it looks like I'm going to have to cut this at the first of the month. We'll finish out the month because I've already paid, but it doesn't look like I'm going to be able to retain you moving forward as it stands. And what is always so scary for me is how fast it comes zooming. I mean, like a meteor. You look up, what is that? And you better run and get out of the way or get buried underneath it. Talk about what do you feel the first thing? Because I'm not C-suite, I'm not corporate. I'm just a one-man show pretty much with a bunch of outsourcing. What is your recommendation to people? And well, what are you doing to pivot? What happens in your world? Do you wake up and go to sleep with these same things or something similar as what I just described? I'm feeling. What's it like in a person like your world when you've got most of the answers?
Yeah. No, it's true, and I have the same issues as any other enterprise out there, business. I have projects that were supposed to start in the beginning of the year. They've been put on hold. I've got a number of conversations going on that there was an expectation that it's like, okay, we're going to engage with Joe, we're going to bring him in, but they're going, okay, time out. I got to hold off on this. We need to see what's going to happen.
Happen. Yes.
Yes, and so they're looking for some answers. And so I have colleagues out there that are consultants and do what I do, and other service providers, and it's a challenge. Now, having said that, the entire market and economy is not coming to a complete halt. We're not in a depression where everything is shut down. So there are still businesses transacting, business. They're still doing business. They're still engaging. And so for myself and for others out there, what I would say is that you need to do a little bit more um, diving into that, what that ideal client profile looks like, what that ideal opportunity looks like. You may have to refine your strategies. One of the things when you're in these times of uncertainty, you have to take a step back. If you have your strategies defined, and you got to reevaluate and say, okay, well, that strategy's got a little bit of an issue here. And so we're going to have to do is refine that. So right now I'm going through that same process of looking at, okay, what's going on as far as market opportunities? Where else do I need to be talking to people? There's a conversation, you talk about what's my ideal client profile? What's my
That
tribe?
avatar.
Yeah. What's my tribe? And where is my tribe at? Where's that tribe located? And how do I get access to that tribe? And so you got to do a little bit more work as to diagnosing that or analyzing that and looking at that and trying to figure that out. I just had a conversation last night with a company I'm talking to from, marketing strategies. And we had that exact conversation about, okay, what is that? And where is that tribe? So I would say that's for any organization out there, especially now, because the opportunities are becoming compressed. But I would, encourage people to understand that there are opportunities, so you do need to, talk to more people, talk to the right people, figure out who those people are, who could use your product, who could use your service, and do a little bit more in depth. So you got to talk to
more
customers.
hands-on, you're saying?
Yeah. So talk to your customers, find out where are their pain points, understand where their anxiety is, find those new opportunities. And the same thing, you have to do the same thing with your team and with your people. Because believe me, they're going through the same anxiety as everybody else. As an employee, it's like, okay, what the hell's going to happen? You hear all this doom and gloom going on. What's going to happen? What's going to happen to my job? And if you have people that are customer facing, talking to, those customers out there, talking to the market, you've got to engage with them. You got to have conversation with them. Okay, what are you hearing out there? What's going on? So as a leader, you're not going to have all the answers. And so you need to engage with your customers. You need to engage with your employees, understand what those challenges are out there, and then come up with a way to help them with those challenges. And you're going to create opportunities by doing that.
One of the things, Joe, that I feel makes this extremely challenging, outside of the realm of your ordinary challenges within, maintaining and sustaining your brand, your company, is an increased fear of the unknown. It's very similar to the pandemic right now in a lot of ways, because there's not a big reference point, if any at all, to a lot of these things that are happening. So you can't say, well, remember in 87 when there was a recession, or remember in, you can't really even cross connect, pull from prior experiences, or, to ascertain how you might need to pivot. And that's very scary. It's very, very scary. So, and then, like, for instance, I'm very selective as far as where I get my news. So I listen to, NPR radio in the morning. I ask for my flash briefing and I get my little snippet. And what was it today? Like you said, supply chain. They were warning people about auto repairs and things like that, which I have a claim in on a bumper on the Volvo right now. And I'm like, oh, great. They're telling people, like, if you need a new phone, technology, the things, because of where it's manufactured. and the cost of what it could be should these tariffs and whatnot continue. And you don't know what to do. Do I spend this money now because it's going to be cheaper to get it now, but I don't really need it now? There are other, it's just so much. So what do we reach for, Joe, so that we don't get emotional vertigo? We don't have an emotional panic attack. You know what I'm saying? Or I don't want to hyperventilate, but I'm well on the way.
Right. Well, you have to look at, do a review of your current situation. Look at your operating results. Look at your P&L, and most importantly, look at your cash flow. And you have to look at where your costs are, where you have to spend money, and you have to sit down and you work with your team, if you've got a team that is helping you, and make some assumptions. I mean, you got to look at it and say, okay, so what happens if we lose 10% of our business? What happens if we lose 20% of our business? And what is that assumption based on? You're saying, okay, we believe at this point, based on what we know today, that there's still going to be this uncertainty for the next 3 to 6 months. So let's do some scenario planning and say, okay, we lose 25% of our revenue. And so what does that mean from a cash flow standpoint? You do a break-even analysis, figure out where that break-even is, and then you have to make decisions based on that. You look at where those expense items are. As you mentioned, the one service, or what you were just talking about. You said, hey, listen, I'm paid up for the month, but right now I'm experiencing some drag on my business. My revenue is being impacted because of the market. And so I'm gonna have to, we'll call it, put it on hold right now. It's the way I would approach it. Say, I need to put this on hold, the service, and that we're going to see how the market progresses in the next few months, and then things get back in the right place, we'll re-engage. So you're not ending that. And so it's the same, that same review that you do across everything within the company, and take a look at those expenses. You've got to make some assumptions and figure out how you're going to manage that. And cash flow. Cash is king. Cash is the lifeblood of any business. Yeah, you can say, hey, my P&L looks great. Yeah, I've seen profitable companies that go out of business because they ran out of cash. So it's really about cash and looking at your cash flow.
That's a biggie.
Yeah. So that's really critical. So right now, just given the times we're in, that's, I think, an important action right now is really looking at the business.
Joe, do you think, this is an opinion, I'm pretty sure, because I don't think there's any way of measuring it concisely, but moments like these, situations like these, push me right into the realization of, am I guilty of a false sense of security, having maintained a false sense of security? Excuse me. As far as the true pulse or health, let's use that term, the health of my business. Because it's moments like these that make you see things that were right there. Now, I saw that, I'm not getting the result from this service that I've been investing in for almost 2 years. Right. Why am I just now, because I have to, saying, okay, let's pump the brakes on this? Right. What was I thinking all along? Holding out. I mean, it's just like a lot of people that have a lot of subscriptions. You know what I'm saying? And they just keep rolling over, but you're doing nothing with them. Man, go ahead.
Yeah, well, and we've all been there, done that. And when things are good, business is good, cash flow is flowing, those things, they're not important. They're not at top of mind. You have other areas you're focusing on, and so those get lost. You're right. So one of the things that we did when I sat in position leading companies is as we went through our annual budgets, and we did line item reviews, and we looked at what we were spending money on, and we asked the question, do we really need to do that, even in good times, like I said? Because the objective there is that if we were able to generate some additional cash flow or additional bottom line results, now the next question is, with that, where are the opportunities to do some investment? What's the potential return on that investment as far as growing the enterprise? But what you're talking about, we've all been there, done that. I've done that. They just kind of flow through, and you got these subscriptions, and you ignore excuse me, you ignore that now because it's a little bit more critical. Now you go, oh, let me take a look at this.
Right.
So yeah, I hear you.
So how do we use the current situation to help put a better foundation? Because I'm being directed to things that, okay, I feel really shitty. Let's keep it real.
Right.
That what kind of business owner are you, Lauren, to have let this go so far, and now you're in this, this conundrum, and it makes me feel some kind of way. That's the best way I can put it.
Yeah. Well, you feel like, oh darn, what the hell was I thinking? But I would say a way to help with that, and some of the learnings out of this experience now, is that you put a process in place and you say, okay, I'm going to review this on an annual basis. You have your annual reviews. You sit down, you're, say, a solopreneur, an entrepreneur, even with a small business. And too many times, like, well, I've got so many things going on. You have intentions, but it doesn't get done. But you have to have that discipline. And sometimes with someone like myself as your mentor, as your coach, a little bit of a pitch for me for what I do, I'm going to help hold you accountable to that as your coach, as I work with you, and we're looking at your enterprise, and we're identifying, again, root cause. Where are the problems? Where are the issues? How are you going to scale your business? How are you going to grow this enterprise? What do those processes look like? But one of those is that you got to have your annual business plan and review strategies, things like that are important even for a solopreneur. I mean, I'm a solopreneur, and I have to go through that same process to say, okay, what are my strategies? I have marketing strategies that I'm executing, and where are my expenses, and what's my cash flow? What is my estimate? What am I assuming as far as opportunities, in the next 12 months? And I think you have to do that with any business, whether you're a solopreneur doing what I do, and on up to a $50 million company.
I'm curious. Assumptions, I've heard that term today. And then I think forecasting. Are they the same? Is that the same thing, Joe?
No, your forecasting is driven by assumptions that you are making based on information you have today. So you're going to say, we're assuming based on it could be any number of factors. If there's some market studies you've done, conversations with customers, accessing other resources, they say that in today's market, the universe is this size, the potential growth is X. And so you have these assumptions, and then you are these expectations as far as what the market is going to do. And then you put that into your model to say, okay, we expect that we're going to grow by X percent. And that's driven by, okay, how many more leads are we going to bring in? What's our closing rate going to be? Are we going to improve our closing rate? And there's some modeling you can do. I have a model that I work with that basically you plug in a lot of your foundational information and say, okay, we expect to grow by X in these areas. We're going to improve our cost of goods by 7%. And that then is going to generate what your expected bottom line results would be. And then from there, then you can start putting together, budgets and expenses and say, we're going to invest this much. But your forecast comes from assumptions that you have to make.
Yeah. Then there's that whole road of intuition, instinct, gut feeling, that sort of thing that's tied into the assumption piece that drives it into the forecasting piece. And then also, what about this one? There are a lot of people who have been planning for a few quarters, a few years, a few months, working towards some type of a launch of a product or a service. And for them, they can put things on hold in most cases. Okay, we're going to hold up on that. But for those of us who are already in the mix, the pivot piece is very challenging because everybody is affected by presumption. It's just
exactly. Well, in pivoting, a lot of times it's hard because the bottom line is you have to admit you were wrong. You're pivoting because perhaps your expectation or your assumption was wrong. And so many times it's hard to say, oh, crap. that was a crappy, that was a shitty decision. I was wrong on that. You got to pivot. Or market conditions change and you're not accepting that because you're so steadfast in what you believe and say, no, this is where this is going. And
set in your ways.
Yeah, you're set in your ways. And the classic example is that when I was recruited to, in this chief operating officer's role for a company that was 75 years old, third generation, and there were beliefs or assumptions of market positions with what we manufactured, and we manufactured industrial equipment that was used in like food operations, and again, this was a company that had a very well-known name and had been early developers of some of the equipment, but the market had changed, and so you had a family that owned the company, was on third generation, and the market conditions had changed. There was new dynamics, and me coming in as the outsider was able to help them understand that, and finally accept that, okay, here's the reality, and here's some strategies to address that. So not only was it understanding what it was, then we had to adopt the strategies and how are we going to attack that? Do we want to stay in that? It was one particular product line that was really marginally, it was challenged from a cost standpoint, and some of it was related again to what we were doing in manufacturing. And so there had to be a decision of making investments in technology. And we eventually went down that path, and we were able to substantially enhance the margin, which created more opportunities and helped us be in a position where we could implement new strategies, and it changed the entire company. But that's not uncommon for a lot of businesses, that there's leaders or maybe owners who are stuck in this old way, and there's new dynamics.
Yeah.
And somehow you have to come to grips with that. Sometimes it's some outside influence, someone coming in to help, to say, okay, let's take a look at this and let's take a step back. But pivoting is such a hard thing in a lot of cases.
It is.
Yeah. Yes.
How important is it, in your opinion, Joe, that, and I'm going to stay inside the solopreneur, entrepreneur, the small business realm, if
Sure.
it's okay, because most of the viewers here fall into that category.
Right.
And I'm being self-serving here today because I'm literally dealing with this right now in real time. Recommendations for possible support systems where I think sometimes just being able to bounce your concerns off of someone else and then they reciprocate that same concern can help alleviate to a certain level the it's just me kind of thing. And
Yeah.
So talk about that. What are your recommendations for people as far as, sharing your concerns, sharing your joys and your concerns,
Right.
to help each other just kind of relax into the reality that is temporary.
Mhm.
Nonetheless, it is happening in real time. It is
Right.
real.
Yep.
Anything?
Oh, you're right. You're absolutely right. I mean, I have a number of colleagues out there. I have communities that I'm part of, that I access, and talk to, because you're exactly right. We're in that same position as solopreneurs, entrepreneurs. But I would suggest, perhaps looking out, where are there some communities? Where are there others that are in the space I am, or similar to what I do? Maybe not competitors. I mean, although I've had friendly relationships with competitors in the past, leading companies. There's a respect, and there's friendly competition, I'll call it. But I would say, where can you access resources that you can talk to? And if you've got a group that has experience that they can bring into, like, a mastermind group, and there may be a handful of you, and it might be a situation where there's a regular meeting, maybe once a week you jump on a call, or again, just one-on-one conversations, that you can pick up the phone and say, hey, listen, this is some of the new things I'm facing here. I mean, what's your experience? What are you seeing out there? And in some cases, it's resources that, I mean, there's a cost for it, of course. I mean, but it's money well spent if it's good advice or good feedback to help you. Almost like therapy, I guess you could say, in a way. In some cases, you just need a time to vent or share your concerns. But there's a lot of communities out there. I would say, look on LinkedIn. There's a lot of great groups. Besides the individual groups, I mean, tons of them. I'm in a number of groups, and even within those, there's information that's posted. But find some connections that align with what you do, and reach out. Don't be bashful. Reach out, establish a relationship, have a conversation. Part of that's what I do.
I agree. So the LinkedIn resource pool of groups and stuff definitely sounds like a great piece of advice. So thank you for that. Because when we're inside of near panic, we don't think that way.
Right.
We don't think that way. And that's kind of where I want to go next. When it comes to scaling back, again, dealing with my own personal situation, scaling back, there's so many emotions involved. There's the I felt horrible yesterday talking to the guys over at Chattervise that do my SMS messaging and whatnot,
Right.
about having to rethink the decision to continue forward, because I genuinely like them, which may be one of the reasons I held on for as long as I did. However, the challenge with myself is that, am I panicking? Am I making these decisions from a place of panic, which is connected to, maybe limiting beliefs, maybe what's that thing? What is that thing? Imposter syndrome.
Yep.
Okay.
Been there, done
Okay.
that.
Right.
Imposter syndrome. Yep.
Right. It can be a bit confusing when you're like, is it me or is it, it's a lot.
Yep. Well, in some cases, there is a little bit of a panic, and you go, you're hyperventilating and you go, oh crap, I gotta cut this, and there is a little bit of that panic.
Yeah.
And
it drives whether we're responding or reacting.
Exactly. So the reaction, and again, I think that's human nature. It's happened to all of us. In some cases, we do overreact. We panic, or maybe we cut something, and it was an impulsive decision. It's happened to all of us. But again, I think if you have resources, you have someone you can talk to. Don't pull the trigger yet. And have that conversation. Now, the flip side of that is you have the individuals who don't pull the trigger, and they keep saying, oh no, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. And they're not facing reality, and it's a decision that should have been made. And now it compounds, and it goes on. And now they get in a position where it's really worse at that point. So there is the other side of that. But I would say, again, if you've got a resource that you can have those conversations, that you can lean on and share, then that could help you in that decision process. But it's hard. I mean, it's when you have these challenges and you've got to cut cost, or you've got to really trim. It's hard. It's a hard thing to do.
It is.
Yep.
You have the the scorecard.
Yes.
Right. I'm speaking of the 5 steps: creation, chaos, control, prosperity, and freedom.
Right.
So a situation like we are currently in globally, how does that affect these 5 steps? Are they still in the same order?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So those 5 steps, basically that's an evolution of an enterprise. So you create it, you have this idea, an entrepreneur, you go like, you know what, I think this is something I want to do. So the 5 steps is basically the evolution of an enterprise, where you come with the idea, and then you launch it. And that period of launching, that's the chaos, and then you go through that next step in your evolution, and you start getting stability, you start making money, and eventually that 5th step, which is financial freedom. You've grown the enterprise, you've got structure, you've got processes, you've got people in place, you reach that financial freedom, then you're in a position where you can make decisions, am I going to exit, am I going to sell, am I going to franchise this? So that's the 5 steps. There you go. So and that's basically evolution of the company. The 21, this Silver Bullet scorecard is an assessment, a tool that I use. I have the owner do the self-assessment in these 21 areas, which I call the silver bullets. So within the area of creation, there's you can see there's 4 different silver bullets that really drive some of that early stage of creation, and then chaos, and then you reach a point of control. You start getting your cash flow managed. You do your cash gap plan. You're looking at KPIs. What are those? What drives the business? And then you make that next step into the prosperity position, and then on to financial freedom. But the silver bullet scorecard, that assessment gives basically a report card on the business to help in an assessment to say, okay, here are the areas that we've identified some opportunities that we can focus on. And then from there, then we can work together and develop a plan, how we're going to do that. And part of that conversation with the owners is also their input. I'm going to ask, what's that number 1 challenge you're facing right now? What's your second, your third challenge? And see how that aligns with the scorecard. But that's what that is. It's a great tool.
And it feels it appears to be. And actually, to be completely transparent, it feels a bit calming just looking at that. Right. Because I feel we're in the red, we're in the chaos. You see what I mean?
Right.
So maybe, just maybe, could it be that our current situation, we can capitalize on it, prosper from it, by allowing it, the current temporary reality, to get us to focus on perhaps implementing some of the things that we see here with you now.
Right.
Because yes or no, Joe, is it too late?
No.
Because we're inside of this situation we have very little control, if any, over.
No,
is it
it's
too
never
late
too
for
late.
us to find our silver bullets?
No, it's never too late. I mean, again, I've seen enterprises that were pretty much, what an opinion was on their last breath, and you're able to turn them around. There's been plenty of turnarounds where you've been able to really go through implementing and executing a plan to right the ship, as they say, or fix the organization. So it's never too late. I mean,
thank you for that.
Yeah. So, there's always an opportunity. And even today, as I said, I mean, there's still business going on every day. Sure. I mean, people are still selling goods. They're still selling services. There's companies still doing well, making money. There's plenty of cash out there. Balance sheets are strong. There's a lot of strong foundation there. Now, leaders they're saying, okay, let's assess the situation, and make some decisions on, whether we're going to make that investment today. Maybe they're going to hold off on that.
Yeah.
But again, the reality is that these enterprises that are still doing business today, there's still opportunity to improve what they're doing. And that investment, if you sit down and look at the potential return on that investment, it's worth it.
Well, there's a silver lining, so to speak. And I believe too, conversations like these are not only important, but they are necessary. They are necessary.
Absolutely.
Just to calm, I feel like I've been sitting, like when I was crying when I was a little kid, he called me a name. Yeah. And my mom would just rub my back and say, just breathe. It's going to be okay.
Right. Yep.
It's going to be okay. And just being here today, speaking with you has helped, because I'm telling you, when I came in here today, I was a mess already, not even awake 2 hours.
Yep.
And the minute I woke up, it was standing right there. And so I want to thank you for that. When people are ready, scrolling beneath is your LinkedIn. Is that the best place to go to reach out to you? And there's also Inspira Consultancy, the website there.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
There's my website. Yeah. And the InspiraConsultancy.com.
Yes.
I can give you my cell phone is a great way to access, to reach out to me.
Okay.
You want me to?
And I'm going to put this in there too. You guys, there's InspiraConsultancy.com for your benefit. And yeah. So do you have discovery calls, Joe, where people can just come in
sure.
and chat and say, what, if anything, can you do to assist?
Yep. There's my phone number. I just popped that in there for.
Okay.
Absolutely. I mean, you've got some questions. You want to just have a discovery call, chat. You can go on go on the website, do the silver bullet scorecard. And then that'll give me a document that's a good starting point. I'll do a review of that. We'll do an assessment, and we'll book like a 30-minute discovery call or just a conversation. Let's talk about the business. What are you doing? And, what are some of those challenges on there? And then talk about how we could potentially work together and put together a plan. There are plenty of profitable businesses out there that are doing well, and even in this situation, I mean, it's kind of interesting because yesterday when I was talking to this marketing person, they've got some clients they work with who are coaches and consultants for government people, and they are like booming right now. And it's like, well, I hadn't even thought of that. I mean, with all the stuff that's going on and, some of this anxiety. So if you happen to be playing in this space where you're a consultant to the government, whatever, the state level, federal, whatever, that's a good place right now, ironically. But and I hadn't even thought of that. So there's always opportunities. Yeah.
You just have to get out of your own way from
Exactly.
blocking what can be seen if you look closely enough.
Yep. Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah,
great.
Exactly.
There's a reason right there to get over and check Joe out. The phone number is on the screen, 630-453-9002. And underneath, scrolling for your benefit, is the website. So, Joe, thank you so very much. Very important information. Thank you for helping to calm my nerves, even just a little bit today. Okay, and I'm sure people will get over. I know I will. Thank you again. All right. Invaluable. This information has been invaluable. And so has your presence here today. I really honor you. Thank you so much for coming in today and pouring into what we're doing here. Now get out there, won't you? Find one E and one R and take everything you currently are to a whole new level. Great to greater, bright to brighter, strong to stronger, and my personal favorite, kind to kinder. Now listen, come on back tomorrow. Dr. Geeta Robb will be here, and she's got some great information to help move your day along in a great way. Now, get out, share what you know with somebody, share who you are with somebody, and leave people and situations better than the way you found them. And I promise, God willing, to meet you tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Central out on my front porch, where together we can have another illuminated conversation. Now, I always tell you, don't let my screen door slam on the way out. And remember this, Dr. Lauren absolutely loves you, and there's not a damn thing you can do about it. Have the best day ever, including you, Joe. Thank you, man. Thank you. Thank you. You guys, we'll see you tomorrow. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Thanks, Joe. Great job. Great job.
Thank you.
You nailed it.
Show me your soul. Baby, I'll show you mine. Show me your soul. Honey, it's way past time. How expensive do I have to be? Need I spell it out before you get it, baby? Show me your soul. And honey, I'll show you mine. I'll show you mine. Boy, I'm standing right here holding up a sign, shamelessly displaying my state of mind.